Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of The Challenge We Face with Quacy Smith. I am your host, Kathleen Harris, and we are here with Quacy. How are you, Quacy?
I'm strong. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to join you again for another episode of the podcast, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify now. We have listeners tuning in. So today we're going to tackle small business, a topic that is near and dear to Quacy's heart as a small business owner, but also having spoken to many small business owners on the campaign trail. So large topic, we'll break it down, and I'm sure we'll pick this back up, further on a future episode, but let's begin to sort of dissect. So take it away.
Thank you. And again, it's always good to be here with you. Most days.
Thank you.
It's good to be here. Thank you for all that you do. And, of course, the entire team of folks that you manage. You're excellent, and I'm appreciative to them. And, of course, to all of the viewers, Spotify and everywhere. Just to see. I appreciate the people. Small business. Small business is big business. As a small business owner, I have felt the crunch and the throes of that. When I started the law firm, I had $763. That's what I had. I had all of the qualifications. I had the degree, a lot of ambition, and that's what I had. And of course, we've fared well, been tremendously blessed or favored, however you had good fortune, whatever terminology you want to use.
A lot of hard work.
But a lot of hard work, too. You know what I mean? Somebody asked me the other day, how did you do it? I said, I worked like it all depended on me and prayed like it all depended on God. But I went between the two of them. I mean, everything worked out.
Right.
But small business literally is the backbone of the nation, in my opinion, of our state, cities, particularly in our district. Out in the 9th District, some of our quote-unquote smaller cities, Mojave, Lake Havasu, Mojave County, I said Lake Havasu, Kingman, Parker, Yuma, Salome, Lake Havasu, Ehrenberg, Quartzsite. These are, Gila Bean, and I mean the list goes on and on and on of these small towns that have small businesses who are the backbone of the business. Some of them, Havasu and some of the other ones, have some of the big box retailers in them. But outside of the big box retailers, really it's that small town feel. One of the things I like living in Verrado, that's in Buckeye. And Buckeye's a bigger city now. Used to be a little south of the 10 kind of thing. Now it's one of the fastest growing cities in the state and probably in the country.
In the nation, yes.
Buckeye's just booming, and we have great leadership there. But in our little area in Verrado, you still have that small town feel when you go up to Main Street. You know, Rosie's Taco Shop, the little pizzeria thing there, and the Bashes is small. Local, state, business owner. You still get that small town feel, and it always raises the level of awareness. We were out in Lake Havasu at a parade last year, and toward the end of last year, and we had an event at a library, and across the parking lot, a gentleman, I believe he's a Republican gentleman. I just bring that up, for the sake of conversation, but he's a Republican gentleman. He owned near the library there, I believe it's a Hallmark greeting card shop there. And I was able to stop and just talk with him there in Havasu about, just some of the impacts of business and just kind of, talk with him a little bit. And being a small business owner, then hearing his perspective as a Republican voter, this is not a partisan issue. Protecting our small businesses and doing everything that's necessary to ensure that they are sustainable and that the employees that they employ, and this isn't and should not ever be a partisan issue. It's without controversy that small businesses have been the backbone of this nation, and they should be celebrated and appreciated. This podcast studio, small business.
Sure.
That's what it is. And so we have to do whatever's necessary. We need to create a supportive environment for entrepreneurs. That entrepreneurial spirit is the backbone of this nation. It's how we got our Declaration of Independence and our Constitution and all of those things that have made this nation great. It's that entrepreneurial spirit, and protecting small businesses is a part of our responsibility, and I think it's what helps us to look forward. In fact, creating a environment where we encourage more small businesses to be launched and more entrepreneurial ideas. Who would have ever thunk? This is my cell phone and a couple of credit cards and a couple of debit cards. But now, 30 years ago, you see you shaking your head?
Of course, because it's tremendous how things have evolved.
For me to, everything that this is today, this cell phone is today, I would have to bring in a room full of stuff. I could fill up this room with things from 30 years ago that this little device that fits in my coat pocket is today. It's a telephone, it's an adding machine, it's a bank teller, it's a business broker, you can have a whole doctor's visit on all of the things that this is. Remember the old Walkmans with the cord and the CD player? It's a record player. It's a FM. It's all of that because of the entrepreneurial, innovative minds of people in this nation. And it doesn't start while you get a lot of your big businesses that get a lot of credit for it, Apple and some of these other folks. It starts with those simple things like a Mark Zuckerberg that has this idea sitting in a college dorm. Believe it or not, Facebook at some point was a small business.
Oh, for sure.
That's just the reality that we live in. Apple at some point was a small business. When I was growing up, Apple was struggling. Look at it now.
Right.
So I think if we create a safe environment for small businesses, we open up the door to unlimited possibilities and futures for our nations, and for the creativity to start right here in America and not have to be imported, from other places. And so a part of my position concerning legislation about small businesses always, first and foremost, I mentioned I started with $763. We have to make sure that these folks have access to capital. Even I get it, there's underpinnings and credit worthiness and all of that other stuff, but our policies from a legislative perspective should improve access to capital for small businesses. Initiatives like lower costs or lower interest rate, I should say, loans. Sometimes business loans could be more ridiculous than credit card loans. Grants and partnerships with financial institutions that facilitate financing for startup businesses and for sustainability for small enterprises. We can pass legislation that will help with that. You're going to have to help them get started. Again, I had $763.
That story has become legendary now on the campaign trail. I have people repeating that back to me because they've heard you say it many times.
Yeah, that's a real number, and I remember it. I remember there were days as a small business owner where I had to pay my employees and didn't pay myself.
Sure.
But they got Christmas bonuses and I didn't get a paycheck. During COVID, I didn't lay anybody off, but we had to hold our nose and make sure that I had to make sure that you did. And young ladies that had needed pregnancy leave had a job to come back to. But this is the burden that small businesses bear oftentimes. And so with that being said, it leads to the next things: tax policies that aren't overly burdensome on small businesses. We have to endorse tax policies that provide relief, responsibility, but relief for small businesses that are doing the right things concerning their employees, because it may look like, this person only has 15 employees or 10 employees or 5 employees. But when you pile together tens of thousands of small businesses that all have 3, 5, 6, 8, 10, 15 employees, there's the lion's share of your workforce.
Sure.
There's the lion's share. And so when you relieve some of the tax pressure on small businesses by tax credits, deductions, other incentives that are designed to stimulate growth and to ease the tax burden on entrepreneurs, I think you end up with a solid economy that helps with Social Security and healthcare and all kind of other things. So I think we could pass policies, and this can't be something that's done incidentally. I think you have to put a focus on making sure that you're doing these kind of things, and we can do that. A regulatory environment, the balanced environment of regulations and whatnot, protections for consumers and workers, while avoiding some of these unnecessary, burdens on entrepreneurs. We have to create a framework whereby which small businesses and entrepreneurs can succeed, streamlining some of the processes and red tape, making compliance more feasible for small businesses. We don't have the ability we don't have Walmart money to pay $50 million a year to an accountant or to tax attorneys or
right.
for regulations and all of that stuff. So we can streamline some of these processes in the regulatory environment. Obviously, don't jeopardize the overall health of the nation, but let's ease some of the burden. Let's give some health care cost benefits to these folks that are providing health care and insurances to their employees. I know as a small business owner, we provide health care benefits for our employees. Outside of payroll itself, it's one of the largest expenses of my business.
Oh, for sure.
It's not even close. It's one of the largest business. And so we have to pass measures that address healthcare costs for small businesses, promoting the healthcare market reforms that relieves pressure on small business. Yes, Walmart can afford to pay a rate, but a small business can't afford to pay the same rates as a small business owner can. And the small business owners, most of them want to do the right thing concerning their employees. They got in it to do the right thing for their employees, obviously to make a living for their families, for retirement stuff, but they want to do the right thing. And I think that we could do a better job with that. They need to have more access to talent. Small businesses should not be left with the leftovers because they don't have the ability to pay like the big boys pay, if you will. Right. And so when you give them access to talent by promoting initiatives for small businesses and entrepreneurs to retain talented employees. As an employer, small business owner, I've had employees that we've raised up, trained up, all of that stuff, leave, not because they didn't like the environment or me. I don't know that there's much
everybody
to not like.
likes you.
There's not much to not like. At least that's what Tiffany tells me. No, I'm just teasing. It wasn't they didn't leave. I'm just kidding. They didn't leave because of those. They left because somebody was able to pay them
more.
It's
more,
and you
numbers
get it.
game.
Yeah, and you understand. And there's no hardship. You're not angry or bitter, but you're restricted to some degree as a small business. I think if this access to talent is critical. And again, the ability to give initiatives and provide relief so that they can attract and retain these folks out of college and whatnot. There should be, if somebody's graduating college and a small business is willing to hire them, we can subsidize and help. Hey, let's go build small business because it's only going to help the nation at the end of the day. Because small business, they don't have to jump through all of the corporate hoops and shareholder issues and interests and all of you. This is just someone in a community. Most of the time, they're from that community. They live in that community. This is America.
Right.
That's what gets that feel. There's sometimes I will pass by. Again, I'll pass by Taco Bell to go to Rosie's.
Sure.
Because Rosie's is, you know what I mean?
Support local.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
right. Hashtag support local.
You better believe it. There's a little Mexican restaurant right there on Litchfield, right as you get off of Interstate 10 there, right next to the Cracker Barrel there, called Raul and Teresa's. If you notice, I keep bringing up Mexican food, y'all.
Right.
I got a
Did
weakness.
you eat lunch today?
No,
Are
I
you
haven't
hungry?
eaten today. You got me trapped in this podcast studio. No, I'm just teasing. There's a little place called Raul and Teresa. I mean, dear people, small business.
Well, that's the thing. You get to know these folks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you walk in and it's hers. You know, she's there. Your families. And you get to know these people, and there's relationship and bond that is created from them. But we have to make sure that we're giving them the resources that are necessary, the digital infrastructure for these people, making sure they have broadband and technology. And as AI comes along, making sure that we're making this affordable and accessible to these people. I think it's going to be better. And then I also think on the other end of things, the government procurement process. Let's make it easier for them to participate in government procurement, streamlining the processes, setting aside some of these contracts for small businesses and resources to navigate the procurement requirements and process. This is like going into it.
It's daunting.
It's scary.
For a lot
I haven't
of
applied
owners.
for a small business loan to this day because that's just like that's just too much.
Yeah.
These folk want a blood sample and hair follicle test and shoe size and want to know what you ate the last 4 or 5 hours.
A lot of people.
Yeah, and then you get all of that, and then they want something else. But well, which side of the bed do you sleep on? And it's like, come on now. You know what I mean? I got 15 employees. I got 20 employees. I got 7 employees. I mean, let's streamline. And then, of course, I think training and support programs for small businesses. That could be done through the state and the federal level. Our Small Business Administration, we could pass some legislation, and, of course, that provide some of the training and support that these folks need. And then I think, finally, some collaborations with larger corporations. Let's go talk to the folks at Walmart and see if we can get some collaboration for the small retail store owner that, if we can make sure that small businesses stay alive. If we let them die and everything becomes corporatized and commercialized, I think we lose at the core of what makes our communities great to begin with. Small towns like Havasu and Kingman, Buckeye, well, not so much anymore.
Right.
Yuma, Salome, Cibola, Ehrenberg, Quartzsite, Gila Bend. I think we start to lose some of that if we don't support small businesses, because for the larger corporations, they're going to go where the bang for the buck is, where the population centers are, where they know they can, and they're supposed to have a duty to their shareholders. But small business owners have bore the duty to the community.
Sure.
And I think we have to support them, and I'm all on board. As a small business owner and as a small town guy, we didn't have all those big stores growing up. We had our small town folks. We went to Halby's to get our T-shirts printed. When they closed Kmart, we went across the street to Yellow Mart to get it. But, people don't even know what Yellow Mart is. We know. You know what I mean? We didn't have a lot of that big time stuff. We still go to Maria's or Garcia's to get our Mexican food. We didn't have these big box chain, you know what I mean? Stuff. I think if we do that, we preserve the heart of a nation and strengthen our communities through small business.
Well, this is why you are a great candidate for this district, because these are issues that have been developing over a number of years, and for you to be from a rural community and now, living in Buckeye and working in Phoenix, you are able to see the trajectory and then where the gaps are, right? Sure. And what's needed. And you mentioned the small business owner of the Hallmark card store in Havasu. I mean, it just strikes me that you don't even see a lot of card stores anymore because, there's that availability at the big box stores. So some of those types of businesses are just practically going extinct at this point, unless there's a real drive for the small business owner to be able to to keep them
Yeah.
open.
Yep.
So it's a difficult conversation to have, because I think every day you see in the news that, you know, this business after 40 years is closing, or this business, you know, is shutting down, shutting their doors. And, you know, whether it's 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, it does seem like the support is not there, because otherwise they should be able to keep those doors open. Now, if somebody wants to retire and they've done their duty, that's fine. But if it's a hardship, then that's where perhaps their representative should be able to help.
We were out in Yuma a month or so, or several weeks back, and at the fair, and before, on the way out, there was this small business lady makes chilies and like pico de gallos and different chilies and stuff, and oil peanut, I don't know. And Rylan and I, we were stopping by, and I said, well, I want to, you know, support. It wasn't a political, you know what I mean? I happen to like chili, and I bought a few, you know, Kansas City. This is good stuff. And
I did too.
Did you get something too? Did you get something? That stuff is good.
I sure did. It is fantastic.
It is.
We'll have to remember her name.
Yeah,
I know.
We'll
We'll mention her on the next
thing. But I mean, this stuff was
episode.
good. And I did, unbeknownst to me, I mean, of course, she's out in Yuma, which is in the district, but then she had, you know, a couple places where you could buy her chilies and stuff from here in the valley, out in Avondale, I think, another spot. And I did, and, you know, and of course I ran out of one of the jugs. So here I am driving around town trying to find out how to find that. I'm thinking about them. She needs to open one of these stores in Buckeye, because listen, I will contribute to the business. But just the nicest, sweetest, you know, lady. But, and again, you know, this is not big box, you know, Rosarita salsa on a shelf and fries. This is, and ain't no dig on Rosaritas. I got some of that. But this stuff, I mean, you know, I believe the Lord had to do something with this stuff being made. This stuff is real good.
You can taste the freshness, you know that she makes this with love, and you know, just the passion that I found that she had for showing me her display and the different flavors that were available.
She had chips available on the spot.
You could taste, you could sample.
Yeah, give me some of that. And have me a couple of these chips and everything. I mean, I had me a good time at that booth.
Right, and they were getting hotter and hotter. Right,
but you know, and they didn't lose the flavor. I know we're not talking about chili, but it didn't lose the flavor. I mean, this stuff. We got to get her name to the people know.
Absolutely. Bella's, Mama
Bella's.
I think that was so. But we're definitely going to look that up. But I've run out as well, so I need to be able to replenish. I think I got a pineapple, guava,
I
some
got the
sort
mango
of
one.
Oh, mango. Woo. Yes. So good. But this is exactly what we're talking about, right? This is the type of small business owner that needs to be supported, because she makes something that people obviously enjoy. Yeah. And if I recall correctly, she might be one of those who has a full-time job and then does this on the side, right? And there are a lot of folks who do that, you know. So, you know, we just want to emphasize the fact that when you get into office, that you will be that representative who small business owners who will be able to call on to find out what resources are available to them on a federal level.
Today, I am still a small business owner. I feel your pain.
Right.
I'm in it with you. I'm in the struggle. I think that's what makes me different from a lot of candidates. I've lived this, and I get it. I might not be in the party that you're in. That doesn't matter. I get it. I've been there, and I think that's what we need in Washington.
Right.
People that get it. They get it.
Well, these are issues of American life, no matter what party you belong to or what type of philosophy you might ascribe to. I feel like, you know, small business owners can get together and share common concerns. And when they do reach out to their representative, they would like a response. And we hear that has not been always the case in District 9. So at least we know that when you'll be in office, your district offices will be responsive to folks' needs. Even
if you have some of that salsa, I'll come sit down at your office with you with a bag of tortillas.
Right. Oh my
Take
goodness!
that off
We
the
need to have
table.
some. Right, we need some samples. We need some
Right
small business
I'll come to
owners
you if you
come
got
in.
some Mama Bella salsa. No, I'm just going. I'm sorry.
But let's just talk about your journey for a bit. Some of the struggles that you might have, been party to or sort of experienced yourself in developing the firm. I'm sure along the way there were some obstacles that people can relate to.
Yeah, it was not knowing. There's a difference between knowing how to practice law and knowing how to run a business.
Yes.
Two different things. A lot of folks that start their own law practice, they don't succeed not because they don't know the law, it's because they don't know business.
That's right.
And particularly know small business. And so you have to go and develop your own banking relationships and I mean the list goes on, knowing about tax filings and when employees need to be paid and tax withholdings and quarterly reports and uninsured unemployment insurance. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And when you're like me, I didn't grow up, my parents weren't business owners, you know what I mean? It was a fresh start, and I had to do something quick. I had kids in school and I had a family to take care of. Wasn't going to get a job over, so I took my $763 and went to town. And a lot of it I learned as I went, a myriad of trial and error, some afflictions, some self-inflicted wounds because you just did not know.
Right.
We had the state bar here in Arizona was very helpful in the sense of, making sure you didn't violate any of these rules of practice. They had the small firm, they call it the law office management program for, starting your own practice and stuff, as far as making sure you're, keeping up with the law. But the back end of it was business. How do we, you needed office space. How are you going to do that? You need to put furniture in there. How you going to do that? You got to market, example, small business owner, if I want to market on the billboard, well, I got to compete with Fry's.
Sure.
You got to compete with the local Chevy dealership that has $17 million worth of cars on their used car lot. not the new, you know what I mean? If the billboard a month costs $10,000 a month for him, where does a small business owner get $10,000 a month from a billboard to get his business started? You know what I mean? And I know some people say, well, you sign up and you got business credit. I was raised on welfare and food stamps. I ain't got no business credit. I didn't have no house to leverage against nothing. I had what I had. A great idea, a lot of it. But again, I'm proof that the principle of small business works.
Yes.
The countless hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients that we've helped, the amount of pro bono hours that we've put in the amount of debt that we've forgiven for people, the amount of cases that we've won, the amount, you know what I mean? The amount of employees and college students that we've been able to help and let do not just internships, externships, and pay them over their summer break to come in and visit the learner. We have folks that came to us while they were still in law school. We walked them through the process. Now they're lawyers. We paid for their bar examinations, paid for them to study. And when they want to move on, some of them moved on to large firms. We didn't know heartbreak, just move. This is the backbone of the nation. And again, they came with its fair share of struggles when COVID and all of that stuff came. We had the same, trying to figure it out. Computers, the technology's moving so fast that you get this computer, you think it's wonderful, now all of a sudden you got to go get another one, Can't afford to hire an internal IT guy right now to pay him $80,000 a year at that time, to come in. I mean, these are small business struggles. And again, some of the things that I pointed out earlier are about policies. These are things that we can do and we need to do because it will only strengthen our communities. Yes. My profession happens to be law. But again, like the gentleman in Lake Havasu, that's the Hallmark card store owner. They're folks that own a mobile taco truck. If they're selling that many tacos or barbecue or something, why don't we have something in place where we can get them a facility, a business? We have to where if someone that owns a piece of property and has space that they can lease out, there's some type of benefit to that person to lease to this small business owner, and they get some type of abatement or this so that person can come in and not only have a taco truck or a barbecue truck, now they have a brick and mortar place. You understand? Because guess what that person's going to do? They're going to work that barbecue stand. They're going to pay for their daughter to go to school. That daughter's going to end up becoming some type of doctor, working in a low-income community. You get what I'm saying? This is who we are as a nation. Let's not get away from that. Small business is the backbone of these communities. And from the federal level, state, county, and the municipal level, we have to lock our arms together and do everything that's necessary to institute some of these things that I, pointed out at a high level to preserve small businesses. I wish to the Lord I had some of that support, but you know what I mean? And there are some programs out there.
Yes, for sure.
A lot of folks aren't aware of it. And then some of it still, there are programs out there, but what good is a program that's not reachable? It's not accessible, that you go through the program and you still don't get it. It doesn't consider all of the factors of small business owners. A lot of folks get out of jail. Nobody's going to hire them. They got a felony on their record. A lot of these folks are forced to become small business owners.
Sure.
Well, this plays into so many different, areas. Somebody that, makes tortillas that good, but why should they spend all of their time making tortillas for Taco Bell when they go open up their own tortilla factory and make money to provide retirement for their children? And you are only as free as you are able to provide for yourself.
I think we're going to wrap it there. Well, that's a good note to end on. And actually, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that the owner of this very podcast studio also helps small business folks in a big way. He helps to register LLCs for free. And so if anyone out there is in the Phoenix area and wants some assistance, Tyler Copenhagen, shout out to him because he's been helping quite a few people in this community to get started up. So
brilliant.
Absolutely. Thank you, Quacy. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Whether you're on YouTube or Spotify, we appreciate you tuning in time after time because we have a lot of great information to share as Quacy proceeds on this campaign trail for the next 6 months.
Is that how long it is?
Right. Less now. It's until November 5th. So make sure you're registered to vote, District 9. And we will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much.